Hello there, and welcome to episode 9 of the Not So Casual Gamer podcast. After some brief technical difficulties and setting up today that are all sorted now. We're good. How are you doing now, Lewis, that we are actually sitting down to record?
Relieved. Probably going to be hungrier during the podcast now because it's been almost an hour. But
I know. Well, we'll just have to rattle through it. Right, okay, no, I'm just kidding. Usually we would start off the episode with what we've been playing, but as the title suggests today, that's kind of the
whole thing.
The whole thing. There's been that much. If you have been listening to us over the past couple episodes, you'll know that we have secured car honking in the background. You'll have secured. We have secured an Xbox Series S to our own persons, and Xbox Game Pass. And I think this is going to be the Lewis episode. In all honesty, I've been playing a lot. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to have a lot to say, but I am constantly seeing that you're online on the Xbox. I've got you set up as a close friend. You're my only friend on the Xbox. But it's set up as a close friend. But because I'm logged into the Xbox app, it comes up as a notification. So like
whenever I go online,
I need to change it. I keep forgetting to, but it's literally just like And sometimes it's like 1:30 at night. I'm like, or in the morning. I'm like, okay.
On occasion. I just wherever the wind takes me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
let's. How about start off top level? We've had the Xbox for a couple of weeks now. Top level impressions. What are you thinking?
Well, first of all, let me get out the way that I have finished Miles Morales.
Good.
I did go back in. Turns out it was like actually quite near the end because that game is extremely short.
Yeah, it's short.
Like 5 hours or something. So that's out the way. And then basically when I add on everything that I've played on the Xbox, because that's the only game on PlayStation that I've played at all in recent weeks. Like literally the only one in a long time. Mm-hmm. But that plus all the Xbox ones, since we got them, I have played 25 games.
Oh, wow. I've definitely not played 25 games, but I've still got a lot to say about Game Pass and the games I have played. I've got some interesting points.
Well, top level impressions, which we will obviously go into more detail about. The Xbox experience itself, as we have joked about, is not as good as the PlayStation. Its UI is not the best. It also doesn't even. It's odd because it doesn't even look the best. Like PlayStation runs in 4K and HDR, and it looks really clean and good and is simplified. And Xbox is like kind of crusty and old feeling, and just. I mean, some things. When you're going in and out of certain sub-menus and stuff, it kind of does make sense and works more like Windows. But for a lot of simple things that you would expect out of navigating a console, it kind of is clunky as all hell.
Yeah, who keeps honking? They don't like your opinion on the Xbox interface. They're like, I love the Xbox interface, honk honk.
I'll fight that battle.
I'll die on this hill. It's definitely an interesting one. Like, there's so much of it that is really streamlined. I mean, maybe not so much of it, but there's like, just the idea of quick resume in general, like as part of the interface, is just chef's kiss. And but then you've got like,
that only works when running off SSD, right? Internal.
No, it doesn't.
Are you sure? Because that does not happen for me. Because I've plugged in my external hard drive.
I've got the, spoiler alert, I'm playing Halo, but I've said that before. I've got the Master Chief Collection, I believe, on my external hard drive, and it quick resumes.
I haven't experienced quick resume since like the first day.
Interesting.
It just doesn't seem to be happening. for me.
I'll double check that. I'll report back.
I mean, I don't actually care that much.
Fair, I do understand that. No, but what I mean is that there's like a sort of streamlined element to quick resume that I think is really interesting. So, but to compare that to the likes of, I think we'll start off a little bit negative here, but we will definitely get more positive, I can assure you.
Yeah.
But, my sort of colloquial sort of anecdote is I bought the Lego Horizon, like Forza Horizon DLC. Still, I've not really played it yet. I've kind of still just got it sitting there, but it was on sale after the Xbox E3 press conference. It was like £6 or something, so I just bought it. And to get it, wouldn't download straight away. I clicked pay for it, and I even clicked install, I believe. Could be wrong on that as well. And it wasn't downloading. I couldn't see it on my queue. I couldn't see it even downloading like in game.
Yeah.
Or anything like that. So it turns out what I had to do, I even went back into the store. If you would go into like the PlayStation store and you've purchased something, it wouldn't say buy again, it would say download, because it's in your library.
Yeah.
It didn't even do that. It came up with $5.99 again on the Xbox store. Yeah. And then so what I had to do was I had to go to My Games and Apps. I had to find Forza. I had to click start. I'm going to call it start. I know it's not. I had to click start. I had to go to manage games and installs. So that brought me up a menu with the game and my save data. I had to then click start on the game again, and then it was like manage content to USB devices or to SSD or something, and then I had to scroll down, and there it was, the Lego Horizon DLC. I had to click it, and then I had to click on the right hand side. There was a box that said select, not download, not install. It said select, and then it downloaded. And I was clicking select, going, I've just selected it, but am I selecting select again? And then it queued. I was like, that is utterly ridiculous. To download DLC, that should just be straight away. I had to Google it. Like, I had to actually go on a YouTube tutorial to download my DLC. Like, that's just
I am now more used to navigating it, but some of the terrible UI and design choices are just really weird, because obviously it's Microsoft and they are like, fucking OGs in computer and software. And
yeah, but I think a lot of even Microsoft, like Windows fans, would say that it's still not like, that doesn't actually mean much to say they're Microsoft. Do you know what I mean?
With the resources and money they've got and decades in the game, like how is this experience so much worse than Sony?
I know.
Usually they're meant to be the ones that do weird stuff, and people.
Yeah, well, they're like, they're the hardware. They're the hardware guys. Sony more so typically in the past, but it's. I mean, people. We've heard complaints about moving from PS4 to PS5, and why is this? Why am I having to go into one extra menu to do this or that? I don't really see those complaints myself. I've found the PlayStation 5 pretty much streamlined from the word go. The cards are a little bit interesting. Like, I don't really pay attention to like when you bring up the quick menu and the cards and things like that. But they don't get in my way, certainly. But if I could take them away, I probably would, or customize them more. I probably would. But the whole thing about I'm so used to like a long hold to get back to the menu on PS4, and now it's a quick hold. It's like flipped. To be honest, it's second nature to me now.
Yeah.
Which is fair, because I've used it a lot more, and so that is a fair statement. That's understandable.
Yep.
But and I've not used the Xbox as much, so I do understand that as well. But there's still just too many things standing in your way in Xbox. I feel it's just there's two extra steps to the thing that's like a single button press or a single thing.
By the way, I don't know. I feel like you probably haven't discovered this still yet, but you said you were talking about like the avatars on Xbox. Mm-hmm. They are still there.
I saw one the other day. I saw one, and I still have no idea how to make one.
It's like it's an app, right, on the Xbox. It's just hidden. You need to go and like find it. It's so bizarre. It's just you have to go and actually search for this app. I stumbled across it.
Did you have to download it, or is it in the system?
No, I'm pretty sure it's in the system somewhere. And
definitely gonna do.
And it's quite weird because it's like clearly they don't care about it at all. Like they don't even. That's why they're not even showing you it. But you can actually have the option to do like the old style one, and then there's a new style one. It's really strange, and it's just this completely basic white background, black text like app that's got no flair to it. It's so bizarre. So bizarre.
I'm gonna check that out after. I can't wait. I'm so excited because that was my thing. Like, you know, back in the day when my friend had an Xbox 360, I was like, oh, cool. The avatar, they're asleep. Oh, you just woke her up. Oh my goodness, man! Like, you
just
know,
like a me.
Just like a me. A me, but in HD.
Do,
you know?
do Nintendo still have Mii's? Is that still a thing?
Yeah, they do.
Right,
They
okay.
do. Yeah,
because I believe that your avatar does actually, like very few certain games or whatever, it does actually get used in still, I think.
Well, I went into the only reason I saw it was that I went into, for some reason it came up like comparing our gamer score, which obviously you've got considerably more than me even in the short term just now because you've been playing a lot more.
Well, it's actually not as much based on the amount of hours and times I've gone in. You would think the gap would be wider because you've amassed, since we've got them, you've amassed what, like 1,500?
Something like that. But I'll tell you, Halo gives you trophies, pops achievements for everything in that game. So that'll be why. But the I went in to compare gamer score, like, you know, you can compare trophies on PlayStation, and there your avatar was, and I was like, but I was like, oh, it's obviously linked to like back in the day and stuff like that. But
was it a bald man with a beard?
Oh, I do not remember.
Well, because that might have only popped up because I went in recently and created like a new version one, which I never had. I only ever had the old. I really don't know. I don't know.
Who even cares?
It really doesn't matter.
I am excited. Well, UI aside, I mean, that's not why you're playing a console. You're playing it for the games.
No,
and
yeah.
So let's jump into the games. I'll kind of throw it over to you mostly. I've kind of got, now I know this doesn't sound like a lot. I've got 3 main sort of, you know, things that I've been playing of more substance. I've checked out a bunch of stuff. Don't get me wrong, and like checked out a thing, and maybe I'll come back to it later, or I'm just going to delete that. I'm really not feeling that at all. So I do have those little bits and pieces, but I've got 3, you know, main games that I am playing and will continue to. I've actually got up just in case, because I went onto my Xbox to check. But I can't remember like everything because I have deleted some stuff. So I've actually got the Xbox website up here with all the Game Pass games on it, and I'll just kind of like scroll through it. And if just in case anything, like I've totally missed it, you know. So that's my plan. But I've got the games. But I'll start off with you. How are you wanting to do it? Do you want to go go through everything? Do you want to go talk through? Do you want to just talk through some of the? I don't know.
The thing is with me is that it's been such a hot mess of an experience, and usually, historically, with me, right, and my kind of OCD tendencies that I do have, you know, it would absolutely throw me for a loop if I tried to juggle many games at once, and I always hated doing that. Like I always wanted to focus my energy into one and finish it, and then that's it, I'm done.
Yeah.
But it's been the complete opposite, and it's just I'm kind of it's made me dizzy. Like I'm kind of overwhelmed, but also I'm okay with it because I'm just kind of letting it happen. And I don't really have any. There's been a few that have been standouts for me. Okay. But other than like Gears 4, which we've been playing through, co-op, which has been one of the good highlights of doing this, and one of the things that we said we were going to do, I've not actually managed to like properly stick with any one game for any length of time. It's well, apart from in the last few days, The Outer Worlds. I really made I made quite a point of like, right, this is going to be the big one that I'm going to stick with for a bit.
Focus.
But even now, after last night, and I still can't let it go. I'm just like, I need to know how far I'm into this, because I'm always wanting to move on to something else. I get really antsy. I get really agitated. I'm like, I've still got so much to do. I need to clear down this list of 40 games that I added from Game Pass because in my mind I'm like, if I don't get through all this stuff now and know whether I like it or I want to play through it, I'll never do it because the onslaught of stuff that is still to come to Game Pass, I'm going to just want to play that.
PlayStation as well, you know?
Well, yeah, exactly, because it's new and it's current, and I'm like, you know, these games are only going to get older. So
that's true. That is true. I suppose. Well, let's talk about. We'll come back to Gears because that's kind of, you know.
We'll talk about
sort of chime in about that.
Yeah.
But before we do talk to me about Outer Worlds because I've played maybe about 8 to 10 hours of the game. And just fell off it. I really don't remember the reason why I fell off it. In all honesty, there wasn't anything typically wrong with the game itself. What is it already?
Yeah. Okay. So my thoughts on why I'm just after last night now potentially waning on it because I was actually really enjoying it and let's be honest, it really is just Fallout. It really almost like more than I thought it was. It is just a better Fallout.
Yeah,
and you know, because the writing is better, and that's really the main. And you know, it's a cool, sort of colourful, vibrant, interesting. You know, some of the, and again, it is similar to Fallout or something like BioShock, where you have like the advertisements for the load screen. It's like really nicely drawn, kind of quirky. You know, that kind of antique style artwork and stuff. It's just
retro modern.
Yeah, it's got all that kind of cool stuff going on. But at the end of the day, it really is just the sort of writing that pulls you through because the rest of it really is just a Fallout clone and kind of by the numbers Western RPG. Combat's nothing to write home about.
No, it's just that was something that stood out to me as well.
It's just your typical kind of you know, build up your skill levels in the same way you've seen before and.
Thousands of times.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's all very well balanced. It is a totally solid RPG, and I do like it. I think it's a great game. But just the loop of, okay, go here, talk to this guy, loads of long loading screens, shoot things to get to point B, talk some more, and it's kind of always the same thing. And that is the Fallout sort of Bethesda thing. Like, there's only so much gameplay-wise that you're really doing.
These games can do.
You're doing. Sure. So it does kind of get boring when you've done it all before, and then there's all these other things calling out like, play me. I'm more interesting as a game. Like,
I get that. Like, you know, even just comparing it to sort of other open world games that maybe drip feed you a little bit more or introduce new mechanics as the game goes on, or, you know, because I feel like a Fallout game ramping up in difficulty is just adding more enemies. That's, you know...
Yeah.
But there's also not really a difficulty spike, I feel, or not spike even, but like a difficulty curve in Fallout, because it's, you know, I don't know, like, I don't know how to explain it. And Outer Worlds, you know, comes into that as well. You know, I don't think it's only as hard as... You know, you're progressing, and I don't know. It always feels like it's just quite stagnant in terms of like what's going on. And
no, I know what you mean.
You are doing the same thing. I don't quite know how to word that. I've not worded that the best, but you can understand.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
You know that. Whereas, you know, you look at something like Horizon, and of course you could go like anywhere in Horizon, but you know, you're not coming across the biggest machines at the beginning of the game. You could just wander off and come across them and be far too underpowered for them. But the story and the sort of missions naturally, as you're coming across more and more of a challenging fight. You know, that has to, you know, you have to use different, you know, the tripcaster or the rope.
It's a more dynamic experience.
Exactly, I would say so. Whereas I feel like, but you know, because it's not what these games are trying to be. I do understand that it is the role playing element.
Yeah, no, you definitely have
living
to
through the character.
Yeah, you have to just get into it and get into the vibe of that kind of game. And you know, I do want to try and stick with it and kind of golden path it as much as I can. Although I will say it does do a very good job of balancing in terms of, you know, being an open world RPG, and encourages you to go and do side things and see other things, because if you try and I'm kind of trying to rush it as much as I can, I'm rushing everything because I'm like, gotta get it done, move on to the next thing. But it's hard. Like it makes it hard. You can't really do it. But with that being said, I have enjoyed it, and I want to try and stick with it, but I can't guarantee that I'll finish it. It may be that I've seen what it has to offer, and then Outer Worlds 2, when it's new, will just be a nicer, more fresher.
I get that, because I mean, it's what's really the story? Do you know what I mean? Like the story is the moment to moment. In my opinion, you've got you get to know these characters, of course, but I mean, it's
a nice little premise. It's as good a premise as any of the Bethesda games,
But I don't think you're going to need to worry too much about that jumping into something like the Outer Worlds 2 or anything. I think it'll be.
And for me as well, it kind of is the one I think biggest chunkiest experience that I had saved in Game Pass.
Okay.
In terms of it being like, well, this is obviously an RPG, not the biggest one ever, but still it's big, and unless you really do try and rush it, like which as I said I can't really do, but just the sort of open world fatigue that I've got as well as playing into it, I'm just a bit like,
yeah, I get that. I'm
trying to almost have like horse blinders on with it, and I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but
yeah. Well, let's go back to Gears. Let's talk about that because we can kind of both chat away. We Lewis, you played Gears back in the day.
Oh yes,
you were a big fan yourself. I'm actually scrolling down to the Gears section on the website here, so I can kind of talk about them. But I've never played a Gears game before. Getting the Xbox, we played through the first chapter of the first Gears of War game, but the Ultimate Edition, the sort of remastered one, and it was good fun. I was enjoying myself to an extent, but it was more. I mean, right, this is probably gonna. I don't think everyone will love like hearing this, but the stories are nothing to write home about in terms of it's effective. It's fairly generic future war sci-fi bro shooter. Everyone has big necks, and
it was new at the time.
It was new at the time, and that's the thing. And I did appreciate it. I mean, we were enjoying playing it, but we were just sitting going, it
didn't hold up nearly as well as I thought it would.
Okay, yeah, well, that's what you were saying. So effectively, we skipped by 1, 2, and 3 Sacrilege. I know that Marcus Phoenix is the big boy, so when he crops up again, I know to go, oh my goodness, it's Marcus Phoenix. But yeah, so we're playing Gears 4. We're actually going to try and finish it off after this. We've not played it for a wee while, but we played through like a lot in each sitting. Do you know what I mean? Like we were really
because it's so
going hell
easy.
For leather on it. It really is. But I have to say, really good fun. Like it was really nice to just jump to Gears 4. It's got a FPS boost with the
really
Series
nice,
S, which is nice, just really, really smooth.
And it still looks pretty good.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, when did that come out? That was 2015?
15 or 16, something like that.
Something like that. Thereabouts. And yeah, it was just... It
felt quite next gen. Yeah.
2016. Just saw that.
Right, okay.
No, yeah, definitely feels next gen. It was a big improvement on. Oh no, because it was the Ultimate Edition came out in 2014 or something, something like that. And I know it's a remaster of an old game, so I do understand that. But the sort of jump was very, very noticeable to me as a kind of newcomer.
Yeah,
we're quite excited. We're literally going to finish Gears 4 and then it's going to be gone forever off the system. But we're going to play Gears 5 afterwards and. Gears of War 4, and then we'll play Gears
5.
It's not a war anymore; it's just Gears now.
This is
so.
Sorry.
Well, sorry. I was saying just before we started, I've never really experienced like multiplayer in there. I've not experienced the horde mode. I mean, I kind of have because the story mode is just a horde mode, really, or there's moments of it that are, more like the horde mode, and just sort of the extra accoutrements that the game kind of has to offer. So we'll skip by 4, when we finish the story, and then sort of play 5 and maybe jump into. I'm saying we're going to jump into some multiplayer. It'll be for like one evening and then go cool. But I just want to kind of experience like a full Gears package because again I've still not. But it's dumb fun with some of the worst writing between these characters.
I
characters
know where
suck.
you're going with this.
These characters suck. I mean, right. I need to bring up two things. The first one is when you're going Marcus's dad. No, what's his name?
I don't know.
The boy. His name. What's his name? JD Phoenix. JD, big JD Phoenix.
JD Salinger.
His dad gets taken by the swarm or whatever they're called, and you're going after him to like rescue him, obviously, and it's all really tense and my dad's been taken away, and then they're just like coming out with random quips. It's like they're trying to be like a Marvel movie, but I'm like, the stakes are high here. Like this is.
They just decide to break it down to a rock, paper, scissors to decide something stupid at one point.
Rock, paper, scissors to decide who goes down into this pit afterwards. And then there's it's like a good minute-long conversation of the other guy, Dale Walker. I've got his names up here because I want to get it right. Dale Walker saying, I always pick paper. And I'm like, well, don't pick paper then. Like, and then he does pick paper.
Of course.
So... Of course, that was just stupid. Because you would just go, I always pick paper. And then he goes and picks, like, rock, but JD then picks paper and then wins. That's infinitely even already a better writing straight away there. But no, he picks paper because he said he was going to, which is stupid. And then there's, like, the next time they need to do something and someone has to go first, they're like... Oh, we're not playing rock, paper, scissors this time. And then JD Phoenix goes, you mean paper, paper, paper?
That is probably the lasting infamous quote that we'll get. If nothing else from Gears 4, we now have paper, paper, paper.
Paper, paper, paper.
Just the way that he says it somehow as well, like...
Because it was pretty much that fast. Oh, you mean paper, paper, paper? And we were like, what?
Paper, paper, paper. You were just like, his dad's fucking about to die. He's trying to find him, and they're just sitting there like, paper, paper, paper.
Your dad's like could just be dead right now. You don't know, and you're fighting off, and then when you find Marcus Phoenix and he comes out of the alien thing and he's like throwing up all the time.
Oh wait, sorry, 1 second.
It's so violent, and we were sort of laughing away at this, and then he goes. It was one of those like you kind of had to be there, but we're in the party chat, and Kate, the other character, she's sort of walking away, and Marcus is just like, Kate, wait, and then he goes to say something, but just in that moment before he says it, I can't remember if it was me or you, we're just like, like as if he's just like, wait a minute, I'm gonna throw up again, like oh. It was so funny. Like, these are the things that make these games just stand out to me. Like, the story is, it's just god-awful. I mean, there's, like, cool elements. It's, like, a cool setting. I like the Emergence Day, like the
there is some decent lore to the Gears of War.
There's some decent lore.
And same goes for Halo. It's similar in terms of, like,
There's definitely not the same, like, level of quite as sort of... I'll come to that in a moment, but definitely not in the same kind of vein as like weird jokes. I feel like any of the kind of quips and jokes in Halo work to the tone of it from what I've played so far. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Gears 4, good dumb fun. Like it's just great fun, but it is.
Thank you, dumb. Xbox, for the kind of experience that it is, which is.
Yeah, like, and I don't like. I'm saying we're speaking fondly of it. Do you know what I mean? Like we're having a laugh. We will say paper, paper, paper like forever and always have a laugh.
Well, yeah,
you know
I mean,
like,
this is kind of one of my main takeaways from the whole Xbox experience thing. Now, this is really just filling in the blanks. It's showing the other side of because you're right. So as we know now, like PlayStation's thing really is the kind of high production value, cinematic, well-written thing. That is their thing. You just don't get that on Xbox. At least not yet. Like, I don't actually think you probably ever will, because I think it's probably good that they fill in the rest of the blanks. That they're like, here's everything else that you can pull something out of. It doesn't necessarily have to be,
for sure. And there'll be people out there that will claim or will say that Halo is that thing, and I can't speak to that. There's like there's like a shimmer of it in what I've played.
It still
There's
just
like
doesn't come close to the...
No, I know, it really doesn't. It doesn't. You know, the whole thing of Master Chief being like really hardly saying anything, being effectively a next to silent protagonist. Of course he's not, but his use of dialogue is interesting, and it's kind of used for for gravitas and things like that. And when used sparingly, it's done well, but you're not getting the same kind of character development over the course of a full series like Halo as you are over, Uncharted, as you are over The Last of Us. You're just not in. It's fine. Like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I know we had a whole episode about, games should be taking their stories more seriously. And I have to say, like, that Halo Infinite trailer that we saw at E3, where he's floating through the sort of zero gravity, and it was stuff that I didn't even pick up. And I was watching a video, and he's like using Covenant, the enemies, to like push himself forward, and he's like kind of tossing them to the side a little bit.
Yeah.
And then he goes to pick up a weapon from a Marine, and he's like really, really careful about it as not to disrupt him and stuff. So there was like, there's more like whenever there was like Covenant on screen, he was being really like, and there was just, I found that interesting, like looking back on it, rewatching it, going, that is interesting. There's like elements of really cool sort of cinematic, like silent cinematic
I'm looking forward
storytelling
to
going on. I can't wait. But it's just not it's not on the same level, but it's not trying to be the same thing as what PlayStation are doing. I commend them for it. Like, it's to an extent, but I do think there's, for me personally, maybe, and for you as well, there's just not that. There's just a drop in exclusive quality. There just is.
Totally.
I
think you really do have to. It's a different mindset. You need to enjoy the Xbox side of things for different reasons, really.
Yeah.
It is a smorgasbord experience, and it's because it'll be a bunch of different like third-party titles that you wouldn't have maybe otherwise tried, and as well, but I think we kind of touched on it as well in the E3 episode. It does seem like Microsoft are at least trying to move away from their old guard and trying to bring out new, interesting, different IPs or whatever, slowly but surely. And only time will tell if they'll achieve something that, shall we say, artistically is able to rival Sony. Yeah. I don't think it'll ever be on that same level of that type of thing, but as long as it's something different, and like I say, that they're offering a different gaming experience that you can get different things out of, then that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Because for me, they actually do quite well on offering the sort of smaller games, and I'll get into that, but that's kind of the area of where I've enjoyed myself most, is in the smaller, more unexpected titles.
Well, just go into that just now. Let's talk about that. What have you been? What's kind of stood out mostly?
Yeah, I mean, I've made a point of like I wasn't even going to go near any of the Halos. Like, that wasn't my area of desire going into this. But like I said, Infinite, I will play that because it's going to be the newest kind of one. I played a lot of 3 back in the day, multiplayer mainly, because that was just one of the things we did. But that was and 4, but I didn't really enjoy it. But yeah, I was basically thinking, I know what I'm going in for, and a big part of that was, there is a lot of third-party and smaller games that I'm going to try, and I don't know if I'll like them, but it's great that I wouldn't have otherwise tried them.
Okay.
And then also just, a backlog of older ones that I'd kind of said I was going to play back in the day but never got around to, things like Alien Isolation. But even then, I sort of gave up on that. But it's fine, because, roundabout point, there's just quite a lot of stuff that was unexpected to me, in terms of these weren't the ones that I was expecting to enjoy.
Yeah.
And I love it for that. So, for example, let me just bring up
Par exemple.
the main list here. So 2 like Xbox exclusives, for example, 2 of their kind of bigger, notorious titles. The first, Ori.
Okay.
And Sunset Overdrive.
Nice.
Don't like them.
Interesting.
Don't like them. So Ori I probably would have liked back in the day. Again, it just see when the second one's sitting there and it's XS optimized, and you know it's just going to be a more refined version of that. I'm like, I'm good. I'll just play that one. So I'm gonna get around to the second one.
Well, before you move on to Sunset and talk about the second one, I've played a bit of the first one as well, and beautiful art style, of course. But I think we maybe spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. I think it's just not quite unique enough of like an indie side scroller for me to stand out to me. I played a lot of them, and it's not my main go-to genre anyway. It never really has been, even from back in the day. I grew up in the 3D. We both did, but and I do enjoy my side scrollers. But I would take a 3D Mario game over a 2D Mario game any day, for example, just for me personally. So. A side scroller really needs to stand out. A game like Celeste really stood out to me. I loved Celeste, which is on Game Pass, but again, I'm skipping by it because I played it already on Switch. But so there are standout side scroller games that I do love, but I feel like
same.
Some of them can just be a little bit by the numbers. I really want to try The Messenger, and I would like to try Dead Cells. Those are two games that I've never really touched. I even enjoyed like Shovel Knight and things like that to an extent. I didn't finish it, but I'm also just like really bad at them as well. Like that's the thing.
Oh, totally.
Like I'm just like, for some reason, that sort of, you would argue that the 2D space is like easier to traverse in because it's 2D. But I think for that is just like the challenge is like ramped up like for in a lot of these games. So it's definitely more frustrating for me. And the whole thing about Ori was that like it was manual save points, and I always forgot. And I hate replaying bits just to get back to the bit that I'm going to die at again. Do you know what I mean? Like that's why Dark Souls is never. I mean, Dark Souls is just so hard, and the Souls games. But the sort of the backtracking element, I don't even like it when I need to rewatch a cutscene before a boss battle or something like that. Back in the day when you just like couldn't skip these things, I always hated that. So I don't have a patience for replaying the same thing in a story based game unless I'm like, oh, all right, I know what I did wrong there. Like I'll just nip and do that again, and it's done quickly. So that's kind of what put me off Ori.
Yeah, but I mean that's kind of the thing, because that's the beauty of Game Pass, is that I've always got something else to move on to.
Yeah, no.
But then it's different because if I'd actually spent the money on these games, and it's different because you do sort of concentrate more when it's like a product that you've bought and you've invested in. It's like I
said that with Control. If I bought Control, I really don't get me wrong. We've spoken about this on the podcast before. I really enjoyed Control. I felt like I was done with it. I'm happy. I'm good. I didn't finish it. I was maybe about halfway through, maybe just over halfway. And but if I had bought, that was a PlayStation Plus game. If I had bought that, I would have 100% played it through to the end. I know for a fact, because I enjoyed the game and my money was on the line. Do you know, I want to get my money's worth, but it wasn't. I mean, it was to an extent, obviously, but because you bought PlayStation Plus, I do understand that, but it's not the same, and definitely, was not nearly as interested or needing to finish it as I would be if I'd bought the thing. So I know, I totally understand that. That's the thing. Maybe that's the upside / downside with Game Pass here, is that you're, any of these games that you've maybe jumped on from, and myself as well, you maybe wouldn't have done that in the past. So maybe it's a bit of a double-edged sword with Game Pass. It's quite interesting.
Thing is as well, like, if we ever feel, we've blazed through our backlogs and we've maybe gone through a lot of them and even just decided, I don't even want to go there. You've maybe even only put an hour in or nothing at all, and you just delete it off. But that's fine, because then you can just let the subscription lapse, and then whenever something new or multiple new things come on that we want to play, we can just activate it again. And our little diskless white box will be sitting there ready for us to do that.
Well, that's it. Like, it's one of those things where, I needed to remind myself that, and this is the thing, I'm still playing a lot of games on it, but, it will go untouched for a while. I didn't buy it to play it every day. Do you know what I mean? It is the backup console. It is the Game Pass machine, and it's it was new and exciting for a couple of weeks, but it's already settling back into, oh yeah, I'm just gonna jump on Warzone tonight on the PlayStation instead, or I'm gonna,
which is obviously your thing, but because I totally and utterly fell away from that and have really nothing of note that I've been wanting to play on PlayStation since I've basically completed my backlog on PlayStation for now. I have been on it every single day, just by virtue of there being so much to play that I'm just like, well, I might as well. I've got all this stuff to burn through. It's like, here we are, perfect time.
Well, I've got to decide. I've got a day off tomorrow, and I've got to decide whether I. Well, this takes me on to Halo, right? I've got to decide whether I'm going to play Halo 3 tomorrow or I'm going to buy Ratchet and Clank on PS5.
Oh, jeez. What a decision.
I mean, it doesn't sound like a big decision.
No.
And there's only one thing that's making it a bigger decision. It's that £70 price tag. It really is. Like, genuinely is.
Ugh.
I can't wait to. I really want to play Ratchet and see if Ratchet
It looks so incredible.
Oh, I'm honestly so excited. I know I shouldn't even be having this thought if I am this excited. I know it's probably what you're thinking, but I'm really excited to play it, but it's also not that long, and I'll probably platinum it as well, so I probably just need to bite the bullet. Do you know what I mean? Like, I really do
that's not where I thought you were going to go with that. I thought you were going to say, I'll just wait until it's cheaper then. That's what I'm doing.
I don't know.
Definitively. I
do want to play it for sure.
I didn't expect this. I'm perfectly happy with still just playing through this massive catalogue on Xbox until I'm...
Do you think it would have been different if you didn't have the Xbox?
What, in terms of I would have bought Ratchet?
Yeah.
Yeah, almost certainly, because I had that giant CEX voucher that I didn't know what to use it with.
You would have definitely got it. Yeah.
And if I just basically said, nah, do you know what? I'm not going to do the Xbox thing. It's just, I'll stick to PlayStation and that'll be me. Then yes, almost certainly.
Cool.
I maybe would have even tried Returnal as well at this point, but no,
fair enough.
It did come down to that thing because these current PlayStation games, they are so expensive, and it is such a huge dent on that voucher where I'm like, well, if I really don't end up liking Returnal and it is as frustrating as some people find it, then I would have felt really annoyed with that decision.
Yeah, I get that for sure. So anyway, I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. The reason why I'm saying that is I finished Halo 2. Right, okay, let's talk Halo. So never played Halo in the past. Didn't even really play it at my friends played Halo with like me in the room. I never really played it with them, to be honest. It wasn't something that I was like, I want to join in on this really. And obviously that was multiplayer and stuff. And I knew it had a campaign, but didn't really know much about it. Downloaded the Master Chief Collection and went on to the list of campaigns, and they've got it in timeline order. So it starts with Halo Reach, and then it's Combat Evolved, because Halo Reach is a prequel.
Okay.
So I played the first mission of Halo Reach, and then I was like, no, I need to play this in release order. If I'm going to play this at all, I'm going to play it in release order, because I bet you everything that these people are saying right now is like making every Halo fan going, ooh, like this, and I have no idea what's going on.
You're planning to play Reach as well?
Potentially.
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
That is so much Halo. Jeez.
I know. That's my worry, right? So I don't know if I'm going to, right? So anyway, as it stands just now, my plan is to play the numbered, the number ones, right? And if I'm feeling up for it and I'm really digging it, I'll do that. If I'm just like, I'm getting really bored by the end of like 3 or something, I'll just try and skim through, right? But so I play the first mission of Halo Reach. I'll replay it if I do go back. So I jump to Combat Evolved, and I play it, and it's interesting, right? So it feels fine. It doesn't feel... I mean, it feels dated, right? It does. Of course, it looks dated, it feels dated. But there's enough there that I'm like, I see why this was so famous. I see why this was so popular straight away, like straight off the bat. Yeah, I'm having to transport myself back to that time and think this is an original Xbox game. It's the anniversary edition. I've spoken about it before, but you can flick between both engines, which is, ultimately fascinating. I mean, that's just fantastic that you can kind of see what it once looked like and now kind of see how they, how they did work for it in the Master Chief Collection.
Yeah.
Or no, sorry, that wasn't Master Chief Collection. That was its own standalone thing, and then it was put into. Anyway, beside the point. But game design wise, that's where Halo Combat Evolved was unplayable for me, right? So, a couple of things. The cutscenes are all fine. They looked, pretty ugly, but not as ugly as the OG version anyway, but up-resed and retextured and things like that. The subtitles, I don't always think you need subtitles. I put subtitles on everything, but I watch TV with subtitles. I watch movies with subtitles. But the cutscenes, you can put the subtitles on. That's great. The amount of times in the middle of a mission where Cortana or one of the other Marines was saying the next objective, because it was such a, old game design. It wasn't coming up with a waypoint. It wasn't coming up with go to this bit, like a sort of text up the top right corner or whatever. Yeah. And I couldn't hear, it was like, hey, Chief. And I'm like, where's the subtitles? Why is there no subtitles here? You're telling me what I need to do next. That's also so unclear as to where I'm going. Because yes, it's a linear corridor, but you're reusing assets. It's an old game. Am I in the same bit I was just in before? Am I in a new bit? I can't tell for the life of me. Couldn't understand a word, anyone was saying out in the missions themselves. And then you needed to pick up health packs. But health packs were like these tiny little grey and red like dots on the ground hidden away in some corners of the map. Sometimes they were on the wall as well if you were indoors. And if you went into a checkpoint and you had low health but full shields didn't last that long. It wasn't just like shields in like Halo 2 and 3. I was just stuck. I just had to restart the full entire mission. I could have been 15 minutes in and I was in this monster closet and I was just getting rattled about every time, and I was even putting it down to easy mode and it was still rattling me about because I had no health. I was getting 3 bullets and then that was me. So it was definitely like, if I keep playing this Halo game, I'm never going to play a Halo game ever again. I need to stop. So I watched a story like rundown on YouTube. And I have to say, like, all stories have to start from somewhere, but it is, to me, it's a total rip-off of Star Wars. Like, it just is. Like, generic sci-fi, Star Wars, A New Hope, Episode 4 is really, really simple in its story. But it was also in the 70s. It was like the first of its kind of that thing. And that was just a rip-off of like an old Western in space, which I totally understand. But the idea of a Halo ring just being this ultimate like planet, or not even, it's not a planet killing weapon, but it destroys all sentient life in the in a nearby radius, and how you need to fight to get to the the key to stop it being activated and destroy Halo and fly off into the sunset. Very, very generic story. Sci-fi. I know it's where these characters were introduced, and I know that a lot of Halo fans will hate me saying that, but at the end of the day it is. Now, I'm saying that because I'm about to say what I'm about to say, right? Jumped into Halo 2 instead. I know what's going on in 1. I know that Master Chief obviously saves the day and they fly off into the sunset, blah, 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 blah. Now, Halo 2 was remastered for the Anniversary Collection in the Master Chief Collection. And all the cutscenes were redone with new voice acting, new engine, just completely redone, and they look fantastic. And straight off the bat, the story is like, oh, that's way more interesting, like straight off the bat, right? And there's like a politics in the Covenant, like the alien race, and it's just way more deep. I'm like, what's going on? This is like totally different. And so we said it the last episode, I believe, but the jump from Halo 1 to 2 is kind of the Uncharted 1 to 2 equivalent for me, where it just, right, they're hitting their stride here. And even the gameplay, like, no health packs, it's just all regen shields, which is great because it just means that I'm never trapped in a, single bit of health left in the middle of a checkpoint. And like you can dual wield weapons, and I kind of got that Halo wants you to like swap weapons all the time, just pick up stuff off the ground, kind of like Uncharted does, just kind of keep grabbing new weapons and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was able to just kind of run through it. I played through it on easy. I just wanted to see the story. It's not a hard game. It wasn't even hard on normal, but I was just like, I just can't be bothered. Like, and to be honest, towards the end, I will be honest, I was just like running through areas and just
ignoring everything.
Within old game design, like as soon as you cross like a threshold, all those enemies in the previous room just don't exist anymore. Of course, there were times where you had to fight everyone, and I was doing that, and the gameplay was fun. But it's the same, even like a Call of Duty campaign. Like, there's only so much of just like going through a linear bit and sort of shooting, just that. Whereas obviously Uncharted has its puzzles, has its traversal sections. Last of Us has stealth elements and shootouts and looting and stuff. So, it's interesting. I have to say I was much more positive about 2 as a story, but I feel that the gameplay, unfortunately, is potentially what's going to let it down as I keep going. Because it is, at the end of the day, point and shoot.
And it's still not changed. It looks like the gameplay videos for Infinite. It's the same thing as 1.
Well, the thing is that even in Infinite, there's like enhanced mobility, there's grappling hooks, there's the sandbox element, which obviously the old ones do have, but it's not as clearly defined as, you can use sort of, the environment to your advantage a bit more, and but there's not much sort of movable, destructible objects in the old ones just because of the power of the machines. But there definitely looks, I rewatched the Infinite gameplay from last year, the one that they sort of delayed it off of, and technical and sort of pop in and sort of visual issues aside, it did look more engaging, but interestingly, like sliding and dashing and sprinting. And that's the bit that Halo fans hate, like being added in. They're like, this doesn't feel like Halo anymore. And I'm like, oh, what, better? Like better gameplay doesn't feel like Halo? Like is my sort of snarky response to that.
There's the difference.
Yeah. So, Halo's an interesting one. I'm going to keep playing it. I'm kind of I'm already like thinking about playing 3, and I do want to experience the story of 3, but I feel like I don't want to burn myself out too quick. So I'm kind of making my own mind up and playing Ratchet tomorrow, and I'm now very excited, which is great.
Well, we also potentially said, wait, sorry, repeat that there.
So I've talked myself out of playing 3 tomorrow, and I'm going to play Ratchet tomorrow.
Fair enough. It's definitely a better game, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's more up my street. I mean, I love the Ratchet games, have done for years, so looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'll play it eventually. Just on the Halo thing, we maybe said that we would play through 5 cooperatively before Infinite comes out, if we get the chance. Mm-hmm. The pessimist in me says that's not going to happen, but you never know. I
don't think it will. I'll tell you when I'm going. If I do get to 5, I'll tell you when I'm going on to it, and you can.
But I'm all right with that because
I know.
Like we say, Infinite's going to be the new quote unquote shiny one. It's just funny because it's when you look at it, like it's still. I mean, who knows? Maybe when we're playing at the final product, it'll feel fucking next gen and like something big. But it just, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I think there's also an interesting bit. I'm kind of worried about going on to 3 because of the work that Halo 2 had to it. Halo 2 feels, from what I've seen of 3, and the sort of...
I played the first mission. As much to it.
Well, I played the first mission after I finished 2, and that's kind of when I was like, right, I'm just going to put this down for a moment. Because I've just played through 2, and so the first mission, like cutscenes and stuff, it is a step back now because purely down to the cutscenes, the gameplay looks near enough the exact same. I'm hoping that there's more like kind of under the hood kind of gameplay and level design elements that make 3 stand out from 2.
Yeah,
just a bit more going on, which I think there will be. Because it was a jump from the OG Xbox to Xbox 360. Because Halo 3 was obviously the first one on 360, so I think that might help. But in terms of cutscenes, I'm taking a step back going to 3. which is weird. Like Halo 3 was it not the biggest one? And it's just weird that they wouldn't give that the same love that 2 got. I don't know.
It had the most hype, just based off the back of the success of 1 and 2.
And the new console.
And it was quite funny because the whole marketing around it at the time, way back then, was finish the fight.
And we're now 6 games deep on Master Chief Story.
6 games later, or whatever, fucking hell.
With 2 spin-offs, and 2 tactical games as well with Halo Wars.
Yes. I don't know. Like, I don't have anything vehemently against Halo, but like I said, I'll play it if it seems appropriate later this year. But if I don't ever play Halo ever again, I don't care.
I get that. I mean, I have to say for Infinite, I'm looking forward to seeing like a sort of campaign done, new. And I'm interested in getting to Halo 5 as well, like just to see what it kind of looked like on Xbox One. But I'm definitely interested in playing the multiplayer, like just to see. Mm-hmm. But I won't find myself jumping into that myself. It will be with yourself, or it will be with friends who will definitely be playing it on like PC and Xbox and stuff. Like I want to experience like custom games where you're like these just
if we can get a group thing going, it could be fun.
If people can recreate the sort of the magic of old Halo, which apparently is Halo fans are saying this multiplayer looks like it's going that way, and they're making a bunch of great decisions with Halo Infinite. Like, have you seen like the Battle Pass system, for example? It never finishes. Well, sorry, that's not the right word. The Battle Pass is finished, but unlike Warzone or COD or any other games, you've got like a month and a half to 2 months or something to finish the Battle Pass. Mm-hmm. As soon as a Halo Battle Pass is released, it's always going to be there. You just click which one you want to progress through. So if you're like finishing it in the season, great, you're done with that Battle Pass. But if you don't finish it, you can still continue it and then start the next one. It doesn't just end when the new season comes out. I thought that was really interesting, just like giving everyone a chance that wants to put the sort of money in for Battle Pass. There's a free Battle Pass and a paid for one. But just gives everyone the chance to if they didn't get a chance to play it as much that season or whatever. I like it. It's nice. I don't think it'll grab me that long though. I don't think it will grab me that long, and the only reason I'm saying that is because even like to me, obviously, like the superior first person shooter to me is like a Call of Duty or something like that. Just in terms of like gunplay and stuff, it's pristine. The way that the as a first person shooter kind of goes for me, and even still, I can't really go back to traditional multiplayer anymore. It's battle royale really for me or nothing at this point in time. So I don't think going back to something of a team deathmatch equivalent or capture the flag or something is going to grab me for that long. It'll maybe feel quite novel again if it's a social thing, but
it just doesn't seem as interesting, does it?
Nah, it's dated now. It just is, like, and that's not Halo's fault. That's and I don't think Halo needs to come out with a battle royale. I don't think it's smart. And I am really interested in Battlefield 2042 though, purely for the sort of 128 player
it just looks
lobbies
bonkers
and stuff like that. It looks bonkers, and that seems fresh enough in comparison to like a team deathmatch. And I'm bringing that up because it's kind of relevant because all the Battlefield games are on Game Pass. Didn't really need to download any of them myself because I've played a good few of them, so I was quite happy. But anyway, that's bringing it back to our slightly off tangent there. Wasn't we? We're talking about Halo, I suppose. That's fine.
Just in terms of multiplayer though, because that is kind of what things do need to evolve if there's going to be any hope of me being sucked into like multiplayer experiences. Because I mean, certainly with the hours that I've put into Xbox recently, I have sunk right into my classic kind of like shielded off from the world, going into games myself and immersing myself totally as a solo experience. But I want to bring up 2 games that are on the Game Pass that one that we've been playing a bit of and another that we're planning to jump into, just in terms of how they could be as multiplayer experiences that are a bit different and something. Now, I know that we both like one of them that we've played. We haven't played the other yet, but they are definitely something a bit different to what we would usually play. One, which is Sea of Thieves.
Yep.
Could be interesting as a multiplayer thing. We could also just say, this is kind of lame. We'll not play it again. But we don't know that yet. So that's one. The other, and the next one of this is coming out this year, which looks really incredible, and it's Forza.
Forza Horizon 4, man. Oh, I love it.
The idea of just, bounding about these luscious environments and maybe doing a few races, because it still has its simulation elements to it in terms of like tuning up your cars and stuff, which I just ignore. I just pretend it's not even there because I don't.
Yeah, I don't even know how to do it. I just made everything green.
Yeah, like it doesn't even matter. Just get in a car and drive, and it's so good for that because I hadn't played driving games for years. All
I'd really played was kart racers for me,
which I kind of don't even count. It's like a different thing.
I get that. Yeah, it's its own genre.
So that's been one of the sort of surprising ones to me where I've gone like, Forza Horizon 4 is a great game.
Yeah,
and
it has definitely been my standout sort of gaming experience on the Xbox. I mean, enough for me to buy like a DLC pack for it. I mean, it was £6 at the time, but it's fantastic. It just is just so beautiful. I mean, there's something about it being sort of north of England, sort of the condensed Scotland kind of vibe. There's something about being able to go to Edinburgh and the Glenfinnan viaduct and all that that's interesting. But just the level of detail on the cars. I mean, it's obviously like it's almost a meme at this point. The car game on the console looks great because that's the whole point, is that they're like technical showcases for a console. But
especially with 5 coming up with the heavily ray-traced cars.
Heavily ray-traced cars. I mean, I don't know if we'll be getting that on Series S, will we? I don't know, but
there may be options. I don't know.
Maybe options, but like to be able to. When did that come out? 2018. So it's not that old, but I'd played it. That was actually one of the games. See, when that was announced, that I was like, "Ooh, I'm jealous." Like I was jealous of Xbox.
Yeah, I always
at the time
liked the look of and the idea of Forza Horizon. I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of what I would want racing games to be, just fun and kind of colourful and open.
When we were playing like GTA Online back in the day, all we did was do the races. Do you know what I mean? Like we didn't even go around the open world. We just like went on all the sort of fun stunt races and all that. I remember sort of the only other time I played Forza Horizon 4, we were in New York, Kerry and I, and it was like January. Went over to visit family and had a couple of days in New York afterwards, and it was freezing cold. And we were walking down Fifth Avenue, and there was it doesn't exist anymore, but there was a Windows shop, and we were like, oh, let's like quite near the Apple shop kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, let's go into the Windows shop and just see. And we went upstairs, and there was an Xbox One hooked up, and Forza Horizon 4, like a demo of it was on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, Kerry, come see this. And so I booted up and drove to Edinburgh in it because I knew it was in the game, and I saw it, and I was like, oh yeah. And I kind of like, me being like a bit more Sony pony at the time, I was just like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's not that good. Don't need an Xbox kind of thing. And now that I've got it and I'm playing it, I'm like, oh, it's just so damn good. I love that game.
Yeah, I mean, it's been optimized for XS and everything, and I actually personally, I really like the controller. I think it feels really good. Something about the ergonomics of it, and the triggers feel really good, and the rumble in it is like really visceral. It's like really, really heavy, and for something about playing while you're playing Forza, it just feels really good to play. Like it does. The weight of driving, I don't know. It's good.
No, it does. It does feel really good. I think the controller is definitely for me not as good as the DualSense. As soon as I always go back to play Warzone in the evening or something, it's just like, yeah, that's definitely where I'm more comfortable. Like it
feels so bizarre when I go back to the DualSense now.
Yeah.
I'm now so used to the Xbox controller. It is like picking up an alien artifact. It is bizarre. No, it's different. It's still great in its own way. Of course, the DualSense functionality sets it apart for sure. But there's just certain smaller things about the Xbox controller that I just like for different reasons.
Yeah, for sure. That's really my three main games that I've been jumping. What I said at the top of the episode, it's Halo and it's Gears and Forza. But isn't that funny though? Because what's Xbox exclusives? Halo, Gears, and Forza. Like we've said that before. It's literally those three.
So far,
I know it's not those three, but it kind of is those three.
There's still no avoiding them at this point. But so for me, right? It's really because, as I mentioned, I've played 25 games, and the thing I've loved most is just enjoying things that I didn't think I would, and I'm gonna just list off some examples here.
Cool, nice.
I think the one game that I've played through start to finish, and I did it in one go because it was only like 2 or 3 hours, was What Remains of Edith Finch.
Yep.
It was kind of one of these ones that back in the day I would have been really into, walking simulator, story based, whatever. But I was fatigued on that sort of thing, so I was like, whatever. But now with this, knowing how short it was, I was like, let me just see what it's all about. And turned out to be the best walking simulator there is.
Interesting.
I absolutely love it. It's intriguing. It's sad. It's just really well done as a story based sort of mystery game. So that's probably been my standout in terms of just a one single whole experience. But then it's really tapped into my love of puzzlers. Okay. So Tetris Effect is unbelievable. I love it so much.
I've been playing it as well. I've been sort of jumping in and out, just short bursts and things like that. I've not really given it too much time, but what I've played of it is fantastic. I'm just not that good at Tetris. Like I've never.
Whereas I am.
Yes,
fairly good at it, and just when you've got the headphones on and you've got it's such a sensory overload of an experience. With the music is great, and the way that it's fantastic. Tracked to your actions and stuff. I'm like I can't believe it flew under my radar so much. So glad that I've been able to play through that. Human Fall Flat. Have you
been playing Human Fall Flat?
I have played. Well, I've played through all the main 8 levels of the original game now, so I'm going to go back to the other 9 that I think are in it. But I didn't think I would. I never thought anything about this game.
Why are we not playing this co-op?
You've had other fish to fry. I didn't want to bother you.
I didn't know. I've been so interested in Human Fall Flat for ages.
Now it's interesting because that game didn't review particularly well. It was very tepid, right? But I fucking love it as something that taps into my love of it's the most physics-based thing ever. Yeah. Right? Like hilariously physics-based, and yes, it is deeply frustrating.
Yeah.
But that is the point.
Yeah, it's like Octodad, isn't it?
And when you get past each bit, it's so satisfying. I would just implore anyone to try it to see what it's about because it's really fun. It's so straightforward. It does one thing, and you just have to utilize the one thing that it does to get through the levels. And I just think it's really unique and interesting.
I'm gonna download it while we're playing Gears today, and then we're gonna jump into a bit afterwards if we have time. I really want to try it for sure.
Totally. I mean, if maybe we can try and do some of the levels that I've got left cooperatively, or I can just help you through the ones that I already did.
Yeah, we can. We'll see what works. But yeah, that's good.
Yeah, no, totally. And oh my goodness, Portal Bridge Constructor. Yeah, come on now, 400 megabytes. And don't get me wrong, I'm stuck on level 17 out of 60, by the way. But it is a genius little simple.
Oh man, I'm so glad to hear that.
Puzzle room kind of. So quite literally, you need to construct bridges to allow these sort of test vehicles to drive through the courses, and again. It is based on real life bridge physics and theory in terms of how bridges work. So cool. But it's got all the Portal aesthetic and humor and stuff going on. I love it, and it's 400 megabytes, and there's so much.
I'll download it.
Yeah, I just find that so crazy that there can be so much value extracted from this humble, tiny little thing. Yeah. But then I'm into that sort of thing, so it makes sense.
Those are two games I have to say like I've always been interested in for sure. Like so, I'm definitely going to check both of those out.
Yeah, see what you think.
Yeah, more to that.
So yeah, really, that's just the highlight. And there's been so much else that I've played a couple hours here and there of, and understood what makes them interesting, or I might go back to them. For example, Quantum Break, which was Remedy's game before Control. Yeah, it doesn't run very well, but I definitely find it interesting what it's trying to do. So, and it's only I think about 10 hours. So there's quite a few games that are 10, 15 hours that I'm like, there's no reason why I can't get around to them and finish them eventually, but guys, I'm just being pulled back and forward between everything. Like Wolfenstein 2, I started.
Yeah. Oh, did you start it? Nice.
Yeah. Destroy All Humans, like remake. Just everything. And I can never decide what to play at any given night. It's horrendous.
Have you played Celeste yet?
No, that's not one that I've ever really like. So I don't think I got around to saying it earlier, but Ori is kind of one of the very few games of that type that I ever looked at and was like, I don't know why, but that speaks to me somehow.
Right, okay, I get that.
Turns out it actually ended up not. But I'm not really into those kind of games that much at all. When it comes to like 2D ones, I don't. It needs to.
I would say that Celeste is different than Ori for sure. Like it is literally level based platforming. There's no combat or anything in it. It's all tight, very difficult platforming. It's kind of like I'd compare it more to like Super Meat Boy than like Ori, for example.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Something about the combination of like an art style and the gameplay. I don't know. It's really hard for me to describe. Like I loved Guacamelee. Usually, when it comes to a 2D game, it is a puzzler. So, like one of my favorites ever is like the Swapper, for example.
Okay,
I get
that.
Which has absolutely nothing to do with the likes of Ori and Celeste.
Fair.
And Hollow Knight as well. Like I probably won't play these games because there's so much else that I want to play first.
Outriders you really want to play, and
of course Outriders is the top of the list. Jesus Christ.
It's such a bad looking game. A bad looking game. Like I've not played it yet, but oh my goodness, does it look like? You told me like, oh, it looks really generic, and I was like, oh, I'll check it out for myself. I didn't play it, but I just watched like a review, and I was like, oh my goodness, could that be further from what I want to play?
Hell no,
so bad. Hell nah, for sure.
And it can go.
There's also this little game called Skate 3. Don't know if you've heard about it.
Yes, it is now. We have the Skate 3 machine now.
Well, the Skate 1 is on the store, but Skate 2 isn't. See if Skate 1 and 2 were on it. Like Skate 1's like 15 quid.
Oh.
But if 1 and 2 were on there and they were both 15 quid, I'd spend 30 quid and never plug my PS3 back in ever again. But I don't need to buy.
Do you really need to play 1 and 2 anyway? Just get rid of it.
We still like to play 1 and 2, don't we?
Well, I don't know. Yeah. For me now, just having 3 sitting there, and that's the thing that like there's only a small handful of actual like really old games that I went back and mostly just played a little bit of for nostalgia. Dead Space 2 and Crackdown. It was fun to play a bit of those again, but probably won't. Do you know what I mean? There's no point in me getting invested in them again and finishing them because they're old and I did it back in the day. And
yeah, for sure.
It was really purely for a nostalgia thing for them. But it's nice to have it,
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So, yeah, that's kind of the long and short. It's really, for me, it's about the joy of discovery and showing me things that I didn't think I would ever play and end up enjoying. It's helped solidify my tastes more. I think it's pushing me more in the direction of I'm not into massive games anymore. I just don't have the time or patience. So I'll probably never play Assassin's Creed ever again, for example.
Sad.
It's that way where it's like Outer Worlds is a stretch for me.
Okay.
Like I really want to enjoy what it has to offer, but it's hard. It's hard because all these other smaller games are calling out to me. I'm like, you know what? I could see all of this other stuff, and yet here I am spending 20 hours in your goddamn game. Like, I don't know. But it's been interesting for me to... And there's so much future stuff coming on to Game Pass that will hopefully be in the same vein that speaks to my tastes. I'm interested to see what Flight Simulator is going to be all about.
Yeah, me too.
Something different. There's a couple of dank-looking horror shooters coming on. Mm-hmm. Stalker, Scorn, the other one that I can't remember the name of. My God, Horizon 5, obviously. Infinite's coming. All these things that we can try and then...
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's definitely... I'm looking forward to when Game Pass is kind of like tapped out for me and it's just like, I don't mean like that, and I have nothing to play and then I bin my Xbox. No, I mean more like... And it's just like, great, I'm sort of checking out, the IGN article. Oh, Xbox has just announced their next month's lineup, and I'm like, ooh, like sort of
totally,
kind of like a PlayStation Plus free game kind of thing. And I mean, already like Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered is coming out, and I played that back in the day, so I'm gonna check that out for sure. Like, oh yeah, cool, that sounds good. I did play. I will say I played Need for Speed Heat, for 4 minutes and then deleted it.
Yeah, wow. I mean, that was kind of me with a few.
Yeah, the driving feels terrible in compared to sort of Forza Horizon now, but you're spoiled by Forza for sure. But it was the dialogue. It was trying to be Fast and Furious, which was hilarious, and it was just so bad, just so bad. I mean, so's Fast and Furious, but it's dumb fun. But yeah, so. And we need to go and see the new one. We'll be going to see the new Fast and Furious film.
Oh yes, and laugh along the whole way.
Sadly, no Rock, but John Cena as well.
Yeah, you can't have it all.
Got a bit of Josh Cessna.
Josh Cessna.
Yeah, I think for me, there's nothing else that I've got really that's like, standing out or was really all that bad. To be honest, I didn't download anything that like I was going, oh my goodness, this is terrible. So except from Disneyland Adventures, but that was purely because it was Disneyland Adventures and I had to see what that was. But I did not. I wasn't expecting that to be a good game by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, it's more of a. That's the thing as well. Like it's you can get value out of just seeing what curiosities it has to offer and kind of having a laugh, which is what I thought things like Human Fall Flat would be, but I ended up them being my favourite things. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, like obviously, I'm looking through I'm looking through the list, and there's like so much to offer, but it's just games that I've played before. But like even things like No Man's Sky, Overcooked.
I've got No Man's Sky downloaded. I'm still excited to try it and see what it's all about. Can I create my own thing and see where it goes? Because it's just such an open-ended thing. That's the thing as well.
It's got crossplay. Can play it on my PS5 with you.
Oh yeah, there you go. So there's a lot of open-ended stuff that you can just dip in and out of and get whatever it is you're going to get from it. And then there's smaller stuff, and then there's the kind of main stuff that you would expect.
We've also not even talked about, but State of Decay 2 as well. We've not played that yet, but it's on the list. I think if it was up to me, we finish Gears, and then we play Sea of Thieves to try that out.
I was thinking that would probably be the next one. Yeah,
probably be the order. I'm very only because I've actually had a couple of pupils for my teaching. been asking, what you been up to this week? Oh, I've been playing Sea of Thieves. Did you know they've just added like Pirates of the Caribbean? I was like, oh yes, I do know that they've added Pirates of the Caribbean. This music teacher over here is a cool music teacher, talking to him about the games and stuff. But even like, as I'm looking, the Jedi Fallen Order, Star Wars Squadrons, Battlefront 2, all games that I've played to death, but are incredible. I like Sunset Overdrive. I know you're not a fan. I Super Hot as well. I mean,
do you know what it is though? So with things like Sunset Overdrive, is that I probably would have liked it at the time. Yeah. If I'd bought it new at the time, I would have. Yeah. I don't know. It's like there was just so much going on, but it also felt quite slow as well.
I have to say, I played it a few years ago. It was like the only Xbox game I played when we had that Xbox One S that we were borrowing in the flat. And I played Sunset Overdrive, and I really enjoyed it. I played almost all of it. I mean, I almost completed it. Again, it was kind of similar to Control. I'm like, yep, I've experienced all this game has to offer. I enjoyed my time. It's now a chore. I'm done. That's fine.
I just think in the wake of a lot of stuff that's come out since, it just sort of feels like it's trying too hard. And
in the wake of Spider-Man.
Well, exactly.
Insomniac's next game, like it's just
blows it away from me.
It does feel so much slower. I know, but I jumped back into it. Downloaded it again, and I've got no real desire to ever play it again, really, just because why would I? I've got Spider-Man and it's Insomniac but better.
Totally.
I think if that's me, I think that if that's you, I think we should finish this episode off with a game of paper. Right, 3, 2, 1. Paper everywhere. So thank you very much for listening to the Paper podcast. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so that's been our adventures in Game Pass, as it were.
Descenders.
Like
try Descenders.
Oh, Descenders. Yeah, Descenders. Yeah, Descenders is a thing. Cool.
Because we're also just by virtue of being in this ecosystem now, we're suddenly into extreme sports, downhill thingy majiggy games because they're free and they're cool. Yeah. And if it doesn't work out, then it's fine. A la Steep and what's it called? Riders Republic is coming.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Riders
Republic. Oh wait, no, that's not going to be on Game Pass, is it?
No, but I'm still going to buy it, and I'll just get it on PlayStation. I'll get it on PlayStation. You still need to buy games, Lewis. It's just a thing that's...
Do I? Happen. I don't think I do.
Okay, well, I'm going to buy it.
No, yeah, well, it
unless
looks
it's really
good.
Bad. We'll cool. See. Well, that was our adventures in Game Pass. We'll update. Of course, this was usually, as we said at the top, this is usually our sort of top of the show, just kind of talking about what we played. So, of course, if anything gets added to Game Pass and we feel it's worth talking about, I'm sure when Halo comes out, Infinite will end up talking about that as well. But we'll reserve our Game Pass chat for the beginning of episodes alongside playing any other games. So, but we are going to go and play Gears 4 now. So let's hope that the writing ramps back up for the ending of the game and we get a tear-jerking finale between
sure we're going to be blown away.
JD Phoenix and Kate, whatever her name is. I'm actually surprised that I remember their names.
This is the type of thing that we enjoy, that we make fun of it as we go. Like Camp Rock and stuff. I've seen Camp Rock 1 and 2 times in the past year because it's so fun. Like, we watched it with Kerry and I was like, Lewis, you need to watch Camp Rock with us. And I was skeptical, but I'm glad we did it.
I'm glad we did because it is just full of memes. Right. Let's wrap this up because I want to go and we've talked about Xbox so much that I want to go and play my Xbox now. So yeah, thank you so much for listening today. We do appreciate it if you made it this far. If you've got any Game Pass games that we've not spoken about today that you would recommend, send us a little message. And we'll check out, or probably have checked out. And Lewis,
don't say Five Nights at Freddy's because I've tried that.
Did you try it?
Yeah, just because
gross.
it was like another one of these things. It's like totally different and really lo-fi, and I was like, well, and also it's jump scares, and I'm like, well, okay, I get what it's trying to do, but it's just jump scares, so therefore I've seen enough. So there you go.
Gross. Right. Well, before we talk too much about any other games that we've
I know.
forgotten about,
Gotta stop me. Stop me.
I'll stop you. Right. Well, thank you so much for listening. Check us out on all the socials. New episodes every second Wednesday at 12 p.m. We don't know what the next episode's going to be. We'll find out. We've had a couple of, just sort of more current stuff about what we've been playing. Obviously, E3 last week, so we'll maybe go into the planning document, as it were, and pick something a little bit different for next time. But thanks so much for listening, and we will catch you on the next one.
Hashtag
later.
Hashtag fuck FIFA, love Pez.
Hashtag paper. Goodbye.
Goodbye.